We in these streets. Yeah. What's the deal? What's the deal? It's 3kingsboxing.com. And we back in these streets. Y'all know what it is, man. Of course, it's your boy 2K. Shout out to my man Bo right here on the screen. That real ugly old man you see right there with the gray all in the beard. Tearing up his... My man is tearing up the screen right now with all that gray in his beard. Word up, man. Word up. Appreciate everybody who's here, everybody who's in the chat, and everybody who will be in the chat, man. Y'all know what it is. It's going down tomorrow morning. Usually it's tomorrow night, but it's going to be tomorrow morning, man. So, man, whatever y'all got to do, take some pre-workout, take your vitamins, your ginseng, whatever you got to do to stay up, because we got a big fight happening in Japan at 4:30 Eastern time, and that's a.m., not p.m., dog. It's going to be serious. Cat's going to be lethargic as fuck going to work in the morning. Eyes going to be red. But you know what? It's all for the love of the game. And, of course, 3KB going to break it all the way down to the white meat, tell you exactly who's going to win, even tell you who to put your money on if you haven't done so already. All right? But before that, we like to season the show a little bit, talk about a few other things. First things first, we love these fantasy matchups, man. Fantasy matchups, if you're new to the show, it's when we talk about fighters of yesteryear going up against modern-day fighters of today. So our fantasy matchup of tonight is going to be former undisputed cruiserweight champion, current unified heavyweight champion, Oleksandr Usyk versus Chris Byrd.
Hold on. Don't do my Midwestern brother like that now. He's a former world champion.
Why do Chris Byrd like that, Bo?
I don't know, man. Don't do him like that. He's a former world champion, man.
Is Chris Byrd like a silver medalist at middleweight or some shit?
Yes, he was. He won the silver medal. You're absolutely right.
What do you think about that fight, Bo? I'm going to pass it to you first, man, because I know you have a lot to say when it comes to Chris Byrd and Oleksandr Usyk. What do you think about that fantasy matchup, man?
I think it's an excellent fantasy matchup, and the reason why is it's one of the matches where you really have to think and you really have to know what you're talking about. I remember one of the things my man Prodigy had said one time we was talking about these matchups, right? And one of the things that comes to my mind also right now as well is when you look at this matchup, right? Oleksandr Usyk, his one true gift is the fact that he's been able to get in and get out. He throws punches, right? And we're talking at heavyweight. So he's been able to get in and get out, get in and get out, right? So he hasn't faced anybody like himself. When you look at Chris Byrd and him is almost mirrors images of each other. The difference is Chris Byrd's defense, I believe, is better. I believe Chris Byrd's footwork is even better. So Oleksandr Usyk will have to deal with somebody that has footwork like him, that has counterpunching ability also. I think Chris Byrd's counterpunching ability might be a tad bit higher because he would actually use his defense as ways to counter. Oleksandr Usyk has the advantage in being able to lead. Oleksandr Usyk can lead. He can start off with the jab and all that. Chris Byrd was more of a reaction type fighter. He wasn't a fighter that liked to lead unless he had the advantage a la James Thunder from Down Under. Remember that?
Yeah. Word up.
Thunder from Down Under, and of course, David Tour. That was another one that he lead, right? However, when I look at this now, break it down, because when a lot of you guys are looking and say, oh, he's fighting a fighter that's just like him. This is easy win. No, it's not. I'm gonna tell you why. Oleksandr Usyk, although he has not been as impressive as he was at cruiserweight in the heavyweight division, and I'll give you guys that, right? There is a fight that you have to look at when you look at Oleksandr Usyk, and that was Michael Hunter.
Yep.
That fight right there is a fight you have to look at, right? I ain't gonna go too deep in there because that was one that my man put in my head, so I'm gonna let him get that one. But the one thing I will say about that fight is, if Michael Hunter hadn't just come down and wasn't coming off of the year layoff, Michael Hunter very well could have won that fight. That was a tough fight for Usyk in that fight.
That would have been Usyk's first loss, man, and Michael Hunter was active.
I agree.
Absolutely.
100%. But when you go to Chris Byrd, there's two fights I want everybody to look at in Chris Byrd. One, of course, Ika Beabuchi, Frezo Kendo. Although he beat Franz Okendo, go watch that fight. Okendo should have won that fight. Okendo lost that fight. You know how Okendo was able to beat him? Jab. He kept punches on him. He kept jabs on him. The thing about defensive-minded fighters is if you continuously attacking them, they necessarily don't always look to get their offense off unless they are certain it's going to come off. And that's exactly what Ika Beabuchi was able to do with jabbing and keeping his punch coming and then coming forward at Chris and was able to move with Chris in those angles in the later part of the fight. That's why he caught him. He timed him. He timed him perfectly and caught him with like that up chuck right hand. And I mean, it was lights out for Chris Byrd after that. And the same thing with Franz Okendo. Franz Okendo was able, and wasn't the swiftest of feet either, but Franz was able to trap him a couple of times, and then of course using that jab along with the straight right hand, and then trying to catch him on the angles because Chris Byrd also was a repetitive fighter. He always did the same thing and then moved out like that. And if you can catch that and move out, you could get it. Right? That's what Vladimir Klitschko wound up doing, right? So there were more fights that I saw Chris was it Vitaly or Vladimir?
Yeah, Chris Byrd fought Vitaly.
No, he fought Vladimir too.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about the Vitaly fight though when he was doing that.
Oh yeah, the Vitaly fight was a good one. But yeah, Vladimir was able to time him. But I'm gonna say this right here though. Here's where the biggest difference is for me is outside of being able to lead, outside of having the higher punch output in Oleksandr Usyk, one aspect where I believe Oleksandr Usyk would be able to get Chris Byrd in is the one thing I didn't like about Chris Byrd as a heavyweight was, although when he faced higher competition level of fighters, he always seemed to have more of a difficulty because those guys was on par with him with ring IQ. And I do believe Usyk ring IQ may be a little higher. I got Usyk winning this fight, man. Shockingly, man. I got Usyk winning this fight. I think Usyk wins 8-4 or 7-5. I think it's a pretty close fight because I think the first half of Chris Byrd's movement and defense will give Usyk problems. But I think the judges, depending on where this fight is, I think the judges were more like Usyk's coming forward and doing more and over Chris Byrd's just trying to be more of a defensive-minded fighter.
All right, man. Shout out to my man Brett Eckert. He said, "We in these streets." J.L. Davis said, "We in the building." My man Heisenberg, he said,
"We in the building."
Word up, word up. Shout out to my man Beast LFC. He said, "Look who's back, leaving us hanging like that. How dare you? Where have you been?" Shout out to my man Texas with the fire emojis. Shout out to my man Neutral Natural with the eyes saying, "I'm here and I see it." That's what's up. Listen, man. Chris Byrd, the biggest thing about him, inconsistency. Chris Byrd was supposed to be the Ezra Charles, right, of his era. A natural middleweight going up to heavyweight and dominating the bigger guys because he was the shorter guy. He was faster. He had faster hands. And he had better feet. But that didn't happen because he was always inconsistent from fight to fight. He can look good against one fighter and look bad against another, right? That's the whole difference between Vitaly, David Tua, and then Ika Beabuchi, right?
Ooh, yes.
I always go back and think about Ika Beabuchi when I want to talk about Chris Byrd and how good of a fighter he really was, right? I'm not going to go too deep into this. Bo took like 35 minutes to explain his goddamn point. So the only thing I'm going to say is that Oleksandr Usyk's ring IQ was much higher than Chris Byrd's. Usyk is always consistent. There's only one fight where we saw that he really wasn't consistent, but then he figured it out towards the end of the fight and became consistent and ended up taking the win, and that was against Michael Hunter. A lot of people say that it was the trainer change, right? Because he had Ali Bashir and then went back with Anatoly Lomachenko right before that fight. Yeah. People are blaming that. Then that could be true. He hadn't been training with Anatoly Lomachenko for a while now, right? Because I think James Ali Bashir was training him in the Olympics as well, right?
Sure was.
So it had been a while before he had actually went to, back to Anatoly Lomachenko. And maybe that change of scenery is what showed the difference in that fight against Michael Hunter. Who knows? All I know is it took him a while to figure it out. And once he did, it was game over for Michael Hunter. He took over the fight and pretty much hasn't had too much of a flaw in terms of his mental fortitude since then. We've seen his mental fortitude on full display against Anthony Joshua in both fights, especially the second one where Anthony Joshua came back and looked excellent in that fight, right? And Usyk still had a high mental fortitude in that fight to be able to win it. That's pretty much almost in the same fashion he won the first one, right?
Yep.
So the fact that, to me, keeping it short, Chris Byrd is so inconsistent and Oleksandr Usyk is very consistent. I somewhat disagree with Bo in terms of Chris Bird's footwork. I don't think it's extremely better than Usyk's, but it is better to the point where it's better, but there's a point to where Usyk could match it in a fight like that. Usyk throws better combination punches, in my opinion, and he's a more accurate puncher. Chris Bird didn't have a lot of power, didn't have a lot of pop. So I don't know how he was going to keep a guy like Usyk off of him if Anthony Joshua couldn't even hurt him, right? I got Usyk, man. I'm with Bo though, 8-4, but to me, it's more of a wide 8-4 in terms of you see Usyk dominating the fight in those rounds that he wins, man.
Mhm. Oh man, agreed. That's what's up, man. All right, and that's why we bring you guys these fantasy matchups, right? We don't always get it right, like last time. Nigga asked me, I don't know what I was drinking before the
Yeah, I
show.
don't know what you did. Fucking Baumgartner beating Lucia Riker. I don't know, dog. Yeah, some moonshine. Yeah, some of that 1952 moonshine, bro. He had that old ass moonshine in his cup.
Oh man. All right, man. But with that being said, man, let's move on. So as you guys know, again, go to threekingsboxing.com for the latest report on sport of boxing, right? Jamel Herring. This is the problem when fighters retire. And this is also the problem with getting old, right? You get old, you're sitting at home on that couch. You know, you might look at the wife go by, and she's a little chubby than what she used to be. But you remember when you was in the game and you remember all the fineness and the fly shit that came your way, and then you start getting that itch. You see these young
Mm-hmm.
dudes like, man, I could beat this guy. Or you
Mm-hmm.
see, he's like, I do this, I could beat this guy, I could beat that guy. And then what happens? You go to the gym. Now that's the biggest betrayal to do when you're retired or when you're old is go to the gym and you start doing shit. Oh shit, I got this. Oh yeah. Oh, I got this. These young boys
I'm
don't know.
speaking
Right?
of that. That was Chris Bird like 2 years ago talking about he gonna be middleweight champion. Remember that?
Yeah.
The motherfucker, go to threekingsboxing.com, check that article out. Chris Bird talking about he gonna be middleweight champion. And this motherfucker's knees locked up. He couldn't even walk. Remember? Motherfucker was stiff leg, knees wasn't even bending and shit. That was Chris Bird, man. But anyway, my bad, bro. Go ahead, man.
No, you're so right. But that's what happened. So Jamel Herring has that itch. He's like, hey man, my shoulder didn't heal up. I didn't have to have surgery. I got my passport. Which I'm thinking, passport? No, you ain't talking about like coming back, right? He's talking about coming back. Listen, man, Jamel, what we saw in that Shakur Stevenson fight, you can't compete with any of these dudes, man. Stay retired. Like I said, I saw him. I listened to him when Stevenson and George Kambosos was going at it. He's like, been there, done that. He had a little slurred in. Jamel Herring, stay retired. You're 37 years old. You got your health back, like you said. Hey, listen, take that. Stay out of this game, man. 37 years old. What division you think you're coming back at? What, 140? No, you get killed. You get hurt. 135? No, sir. Dennis Shakur Stevenson, and we ain't trying to see that movie again.
He talking about coming back at 130 because he was calling out Joe Cordina saying that he's going to Wales.
Nah.
Coming back at 130.
Nah. Hey, Jamel Herring, do expedition. If you got to fight, do expeditions. Floyd making a lot of money with it. You got to fight. Do expeditions, man.
This nigga said do expeditions. This nigga said do the Ford SUV.
I'm sorry. Exhibitions.
But that's why y'all gotta love Bo, man. That's why y'all gotta love Bo. Make sure y'all go out there, dog. You know what I'm saying? And do expeditions. Make sure y'all get that Ford SUV truck on deck. I hear you, dog. Exhibitions.
Exhibitions, man.
He should.
Do
Listen,
exhibitions, man.
listen, man. Jamel Herring's a great guy.
Yes, he is.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him. You know, we get on everybody on this show. Doesn't matter who it is. And I probably should have said the disclaimer at the beginning of the show, man. We're not trying to listen. We're gonna say what we want, and ain't nobody gonna tell us otherwise. And especially when you see us in person, you're gonna realize why we say what we want. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, bro, it's entertainment, it's comedy, but it's truthful facts and education at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So he's a great guy. Not knocking Jamel Herring. I'm just gonna spit the truth, man. Jamel Herring can't do anything with none of these guys at this point in his career, man. I mean, if you really look at Jamel Herring, he was never really that good of a fighter. His best win was Lamont Roach at one point. Then it was Masayuki Ito, and then it was fucking an old ass Carl Frampton, man. Those are his best wins, dog. So, and he struggled. Then he lose. He lost his damn. I can't remember who he lost to. Um, I can't remember the guy he lost to, but the guy he lost to wasn't that good. Forgot who it was right now. But my point is, Jamel Herring has always been a C-level fighter in the
Yes.
pros. Probably a much better amateur. I heard or actually, he told me he beat Rashidi Ellis in the amateurs, and that's how Rashidi Ellis didn't make it to the Olympic team because he had beat him. So he's
Right.
probably a much better amateur than he was a pro. But as a pro, he's a C-level fighter, man. And at the end of the day, the killers at 130. Um, you got Joe Cordina, you got my man Oshaki Foster, right? You got Hector Luis Garcia. You got not Luis Lopez. Who's the other guy at 130?
Uh,
Can't remember the other guy at 130 right now, but Ray Vargas. Not Ray Vargas, not him
Ray
either.
Vargas, he 126.
Never it.
Yeah, Emmanuel Navarrete.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So you got killers at 130, right? 140. I mean, Regis Prograis. I skipped 135 on purpose, guys.
Yeah.
140.
So
Because
he
they're gonna be like,
no chance at 135. Like, it's
yeah,
not even worth talking about.
they're gonna be like, he
That's
went from
messed up,
130 to
TJ.
140, 135, dog. No, I skipped lightweight on purpose.
That's
140
messed up, dog.
is Regis Prograis, Teofimo Lopez, right?
Yeah.
You got my man Subra Matias,
Yep.
right? And then you got Devin Haney, who's coming up. I think Ryan Garcia beats him, dog. You know what I'm saying? Especially the Ryan Garcia that's working with Derek James.
Yes,
He beats Jamel Herring, man. You know what I'm saying? The fight against Shakir Stevenson was bad. The fight against Jermaine Ortiz was really bad. And that was enough for Jamel Herring to understand that it's time for him to hang him up, man. So trying to come back, if you're gonna fight guys that are not top level fighters, that's fine. D level fighters. Don't go to the B's. Don't go to the B's, bro. Stay out the B's. Jermaine Ortiz was a B. You know what I'm saying? Stay out the B's. You stay in the C minus C level and D minus F niggas. Stay over there. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, he can't even get the solid C's,
Nah,
dog?
bro. C plus, that might be too much, man. C plus might be too much. Bro, I'm telling the truth. This is truth, dog. This is the truth.
Yeah,
I'm not hating on dude, man. I like him. Look, I'm your friend that'll tell you got a booger in your nose, man. Hey, man, you need to get that, dog. I'm the nigga I'm your friend that'll tell you, hey, man, you got some motherfucking broccoli in your teeth, man. You're talking that hoe over there. Yeah, broccoli in your teeth, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you before you talk to the next hoe, you got broccoli in your teeth, man.
Broccoli.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got a whole motherfucking broccoli head sticking out in front of your teeth, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one to tell it. I'm gonna tell him that.
Right.
That's what I'm doing to Jamel Herring. While I don't consider Jamel Herring a friend, I like the guy, so I'm gonna tell him the truth, right? And the truth is, no, bro. It is if you're coming in to make a little dough here and there and shit, that's what's up, man. 130 is the best weight for him. That's probably why he's trying to make it back there. Because 135 is just completely deadly. And then 140, nah, man, those guys would beat the shit out of him. So 130 is probably the best weight for him. Hector Luis Garcia showed that he could be inconsistent. Maybe Jamel Herring could beat that guy, right? Oshaki Foster's new, a new nigga with a belt. He's hungry, though, so that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Oshaki Foster's that good of a fighter, but he's hungry, so that's a tough one. I don't think he beats Joe Cordina, man. He can't beat him. Manuel Navarrete, he's been looking kind of weak lately. What was the cat's name? Liam Wilson.
Yep.
That he looked like shit against.
Yep.
Maybe that might be your best bet between him and Hector Luis Garcia.
Shit, I don't know, because now if Navarrete loses to Oscar Valdez, I don't see him beating Oscar either.
Good point. I don't think he beats Oscar Valdez. That fight was supposed to happen, but Shakur, ended up being the fight. He doesn't beat Oscar Valdez either. So he has the best shot for him to become a champion, because that's apparently his goal, is to become champion. It is at 130. But nah, man, I just don't think it can be done, man. Not at all.
All
right. Moving on to the next, man. So I don't know if y'all saw this fight this past weekend, but George Kambosos. Now, I told y'all, man, George Kambosos is not a good fighter. Didn't I say that, bro?
Yes, you did.
I told people way before Teofimo Lopez. I told him right after Tio, he's not a good fighter.
Yes, you
This
did.
is what I said specifically. I said the performance that George Kambosos gave against Teofimo Lopez is a once in a lifetime performance. I said this. This is why more people need to follow Three Kings Boxing. More people need to follow Prodigy of Boxing Talk. We know what we're talking about over here, man. I specifically said the George Kambosos performance that he had against Teofimo Lopez is once in a lifetime, just like Daniel Jacobs' performance against Triple G. Once in a lifetime. They can never perform to that magnitude again.
Ever.
They can't. You right, Heisenberg. George Cam Booty.
Yeah.
He got the booty back. Because that's exactly what his performance was. Right? So,
Oh man.
once in a lifetime performance against Teofimo Lopez. And I also added that the reason why he had that once in a lifetime performance was because Teofimo Lopez was mentally fucked at that time. I'm definitely not giving Tio no goddamn excuse. Understand? Please believe. If I don't like somebody in boxing, Tio's one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Definitely not giving that dude any fucking excuse. But at the end of the day, it was clear Tio was mentally not in the fight. What does 2K always say about boxing and the mentality of boxing? It is boxing is a sport where you have to be 95% correct mentally, bro. It's 5% physical. If that brain power not there, if you ain't focused, you lose to niggas you could have knocked out, man. We've seen that in boxing history, throughout boxing history. Guys losing to guys they shouldn't be losing to, man, because they're not mentally focused. Look at Frank Martin in his last fight.
Oh man.
Wasn't mentally focused, almost lost to this cat, man, that nobody knew. I don't give a fuck who it was that said that they knew Harat, Yum Doom Dom Doom, whatever his name is. Y'all didn't know that cat.
You're
Nobody
lying.
did.
You're lying if you say you did.
You're
You're
lying
lying.
if you say you know the guy. Right. So he came out of nowhere and almost beat Frank Martin, bro. Something Mitchell Rivera, who's a much better fighter than this guy, couldn't do. So he wasn't mentally there. That's how important the mentality is in the sport of boxing. So at the same time, Teofimo Lopez is probably only 20% mentally ready for that fight and still almost beats him. That's why I told you guys, put the smart money on Devin Haney twice in Australia, yes. While Jeff Mayweather, a guy who's been around boxing for fucking decades, is basically saying Devin Haney's going to lose. 2K's over here saying it's going to be an easy fight. Most people will be like, nigga, I'm going with Jeff Mayweather. Well, you lost. You went with Jeff Mayweather, put your money on Cam Booty and lost. That was an easy fight to call because I've been saying Cam Booty's not a good fighter. And you saw it this past weekend against Maximus Hughes, bro. Not a good fighter. Not mentally there. I mean, I can't even say he wasn't mentally there. Maybe he was mentally there. Because the Cam Booty that I saw fight Maxie Hughes was the same Cam Booty I saw fight Lee Selby and fucking Mickey Bay. Same one. Same one. So the question people are going to have is 2K, then why did he revert back? Because he was up for the Tio fight. He got Tio at the right time. And it was a once-in-a-lifetime performance. Some boxers are going to give you that.
Yep.
There's been plenty of one-hit wonders in the sport of boxing. They talk about one-hit wonders in the entertainment industry when it comes to music. Nigga, there's plenty of them in the sport of boxing. One-hit wonders all over the place, man.
Some of them niggas made the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
Ingemar Johansson.
One-hit wonder. And immediately got knocked the fuck out right after that in the rematch, right?
Exactly.
But they still put him in the Hall of Fame because of that one goddamn win over Floyd Patterson, right? So at the end of the day, man, that's the answer. One-hit wonder. Performance of a lifetime he'll never be able to match. So to see him actually lose to Maxie Hughes, I wasn't surprised.
Right.
I was surprised at the goddamn results from the judges and the scorecards they turned in. And this tells you that boxing is criminal. Boxing is corrupt. When a high-powered machine like Top Rank has their money or their eggs in the basket, and the basket is named George Kambosos wins that fight no matter what. I don't know why Top Rank is pushing him. I would drop the nigga after this fight. Why? Because he's from Australia and he won the big fight against Stephen Lopez. So you think you could draw money out of him from Australia? That may be true. But my advice to that is do it now. Because if you keep putting him in these fights against Maximus Hughes and he's looking badly, the money's gonna go. People are gonna lose interest.
Mm-hmm.
Even Australians are gonna lose interest. Because they're seeing the fights just like we are over here. And they're saying, hey, I like this guy, but he lost. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they need to cash him out now, dog. Go ahead, man.
Hey, man, listen, if they wanted to maximize making money in Australia, that fight should have been in Australia. Because guess what? I could have watched that early and got something else in my brain instead of watching that at night, keeping that performance in my head until I went to sleep. Listen, man, this was a gimme fight. As my man Prodigy always say, this was a gimme fight. This was to bring him back after losing 2 fights to Devin Haney. He was supposed to came back, look good to prove, hey, I'm not a one-hit wonder. Well, that didn't happen.
Exactly.
Right? That didn't happen at all. Then on top of that, he wants to take to social media and say, well, close fight ain't no robbery. Where was the close fight at?
Yep.
This, like, the first thing I want to know is, where in the hell was the close fight at? Because I had it 117, 111, Maxi Hughes.
What? In that 9 rounds of 3?
Yes.
God, damn.
And trust me, it was a hard 3. It was a push. It was a push.
Woo-wee.
It was like pushing a fat chick uphill. It was a push.
Right.
Okay. It was a hard 3 rounds to push to give him to him. This dude exhibited no ring IQ. You're fighting a southpaw. Where's your foot supposed to be when you're fighting a southpaw? Out here, not here.
Outside,
That's what.
Your foot's on the inside, bro. Your opponent can spin away from your left hand very simply, very easily.
Right.
Very easily.
And if you're gonna keep your foot on the inside, don't dip like this. You're dipping right into what? The straight left hand, which was connecting like Skittles all night. He was like, "Oh, you want some more candy? Oh, want some more candy?" Couldn't miss. So it was listen, it was ridiculous. Then on top of that, the really the most disappointing part of it all, even if you could somewhat forget that, Shakur Stevens to his face said, "Oh yeah, we could fight, and I'm gonna knock you the fuck out." This is what he said to his face. You know what his response to that was? Take the 25% and fight Devin Haney.
That's because he's a dude. That's because Kambosos is he just like, matter of fact, that's a good fight for Jamel Herring right there. George Cam Booty. He talking about going to Wales to fight fucking Cordina. Nah, man, go to Australia and fight Cam Booty. That's a good fight for Jamel. These two niggas they both C-level fighters.
Right.
Both of them. That's why he didn't respond to Stevenson. Stevenson's a fucking A-level fighter, man. He's like one good win away from A+.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Meanwhile, Cam Booty's in the C level down there somewhere, man. This nigga barely passing class, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right, even the bare minimum.
This nigga barely passing, nigga. He get one more bad performance, he might fail the class, nigga. That's where Cam Booty, excuse me. That's where he's at.
Oh, man.
So how the hell is he going? What is he supposed to say? Like, even if he said, "No, mate, I knock you out," and nobody believes him, not even Australians. They'll hate on Shakur. Oh, he's a boring fighter, mate. Right? They'll say shit like that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, deep down inside, they know. The heart is telling you. Cam Booty can't beat Stevenson. Nobody's gonna believe his response. If it's not, yeah, he could beat me. Nobody's gonna believe it. So what do you expect him to say, Bo? I feel like he had the right response. Hey, go take that money for Devin Haney. Yeah, leave me the fuck alone. I don't know why you're talking to me. Shit. You just saw I just struggled with a nigga named Maxie. I ain't trying to fight you.
But if you're gonna tell us that you won that fight, if you're saying, "Hey man, I won that fight, I don't know what y'all talking about," then you gotta stick to the guns all the way through, even if you are being faced with Shakur Stevenson. You gotta stick to them guns. Say, "Oh, who you think you're talking to?" Get in line, man. I'm a former unified world champion. Get in line. You gotta say something, not no, you know what, man, why don't you fight Devin Haney? You can't. This dude just looked you in your face, in front of cameras and everything, told you, first he told you, "I thought you lost the fight." Then told you, "Hey, yeah, we can fight, but I'm gonna knock you the fuck out." And your response is, I want to see you fight Devin
Bro,
Haney.
I see what you're saying. It's an alpha male call. But you
Right.
gotta
Okay. All
understand,
right.
dog, the
Okay. You
world
got me. You
doesn't
got me.
spin
You
on
got
its axis without a certain level of beta males, man. Not everybody can be alphas. Just like not everybody can be money makers. Gotta
me.
have bum niggas out there so the world can have balance and it can spin on its axis properly if you believe it's on an axis. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you
You
believe in
got
all that outer space and shit, then you have to and then the Earth's flat or a ball, whatever you believe. If you believe it's a ball, it's gotta have balance to spin on the axis. So we need beta males out there, bruh. And I look at Cam Booty and I'm like, sure, he could be a candidate for a beta male. Absolutely. So when he had that goddamn response, I'm not gonna say, man, you should have said this. No, he's in his element.
So basically, what you're telling me is when he said it, you were like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Shit, if I was with the nigga, I'd have been advising him. Matter of fact, I'd have jumped in like a fucking lawyer, nigga. If Stevenson said I'd knock you out, I'd have jumped in front of him. We have no response to that. I'd have tapped that nigga Cam Booty on the shoulder. Hey man, don't respond to that. No, don't respond. No further questions. Hell nah, bro.
Confiscating cell phones. No, I don't put this out there.
Yep.
Confiscating cell phones.
Right. Got motherfuckers in black suits taking phones and shit. Exactly, bro.
That's oh, oh man. I hear you, man. That is messed up though, man. But yeah, but he's not ready for nobody though, man. He's I think this was a IBF title. I don't know how niggas at 8 and 9 are fighting for IBF, but anyway, this was an IBF title eliminator. And the bad part about it is, if you look at the landscape, man, he could very well get a shot at a title. He could wind up fighting either Isaac Cruz or Gus Lamas for the vacant IBF title, because Shakur Stevenson and Vasyl Lomachenko may fight. Frank Martin is right there for the WBA. Well, that just leaves him, Isaac Cruz, and Gus.
And
And then
both
he's
of those
definitely going
guys
to
are
get a bump up in the rankings for beating Maxie Hughes.
and both of those guys are tough fights. Gus Limos and Isaac Cruz for Kambosos, those are
Yeah,
tough fights. Very
yeah,
tough fights.
yeah.
So I mean, honestly, obviously those two guys are better than fighting Devin Haney for a third time and Shakur Stevenson, right? And
Right,
Lomachenko.
right.
But those guys are still tough fights for Kambosos, man. Isaac Cruz beats him. Gus Limos probably beats him too, but that's probably an easier fight for Kambosos' style than Isaac Cruz.
Yeah. If he'd have called Isaac Cruz earlier, I'm gonna say before the Tank Davis fight, he probably would have beat him. But Isaac Cruz got some experience behind him. You saw it when he fought Yudakis Gamboa.
Yeah.
He showed me a little bit more of what he's doing. So yeah, I agree with that. Isaac Cruz is a tough fight. But all right, man. All right, man. So next up, here we are. Here we are, you guys. Before we get to the finish line, here we go. Stephen Fulton, the unified super bantamweight champion, taking on the former undisputed multi-divisional champion, Naoya the Monster Inoue. Buckle up, guys. I mean, like, seriously, put your seatbelts on. Take that run to the bathroom real quick and take a seat, man. This is about to get good, right? This fight right here is a very good fight. And there's so many nuances to this fight. And you can look at this fight and you can say, hey, man, this is a 50-50 fight. Here's the thing about this fight that I like. And then I'm going to go into who I'm going to predict to win. And here's why. When you look at this fight, man, Naoya Inoue coming up in weight, right? He has the punching power. Of course, we know that. One thing about Naoya Inoue we know is Naoya Inoue can take a punch. Hell, he fought no Nino there with 2 broken over the bones. We also know that Naoya Inoue can be good when he is focused off that front foot. He put punches together. He is a vicious body puncher. Keep that. Make sure I go back to that too. That body punching, because that's going to be key and important.
Yep.
He is a vicious body puncher. The only thing about Naoya Inoue that I don't like is sometimes defensively he can have lapses. Nonino Donaire, even though he hurt Nonino Donaire, was able to catch him in the hook because Naoya Inoue comes at him on a straight line. You can't do that. You gotta give move. You gotta give angles, right? Another reason why you can catch him. Naoya Inoue has a tendency when he throws a hard punch to bring his hands down low instead of bringing them back up high.
Yes. Yes, he
So
does.
yes, like his defense lapses is it's like very big. It's not small. They're very big defense lapses when he has them, and I don't understand he hasn't fixed that yet, right? Now we know from a footwork standpoint, I do like his footwork, but sometimes you can see where he takes more of a power stance, what makes it hard for him to get out of the way of shots he should get out of the way of,
Yeah.
versus him being up on his toes like he is. Some like when he fought Butler, he was more up on his toes, but he has times where he's more of a flat-footed fighter.
Well, that's because he's trying to gain. So, two things I want to say before you continue. The
Go ahead.
defense thing, he said he's been working on that, and that's why he's been training in America so that he can work on his defense. The the reason why he's taking a power stance is because he's trying to knock the guy out. He's a power puncher, right? So he's gonna
Mhm.
plant his feet where he could sit down on his shots a lot easier than being on his toes where he can't sit down on them. So he's trying to land that big shot to get you the fuck out of there. That's
Agreed.
why he's flat footed.
Agreed. Agreed. And you know what? I'm glad you explained that to people too, because I would have forgot. And that's very important. That's yeah, I would have forgot. That's very important, very key. No, seriously, that's very important, very key. Now, here's the thing about Stephen Fulton, right? Uh, one fight that I always go to with Stephen Fulton is the Brandon Figueroa. Now, a lot of you guys are gonna be, what about Daniel Rahman? Listen, Daniel Rahman is nowhere near the pressure fighter that the pressure fighter or has the footwork that Brandon Figueroa has. When you look at that fight about Brandon Figueroa, let me tell you something. That was a very telling fight, and here's why. It was another fighter of same amount of youth. I think from a ring IQ standpoint, you can say maybe they're on par. Maybe one might be a little bit over the other one. But Brandon Figueroa, pressure, effective aggression, and that body punching, which is what I meant about Naoya Inoue, was giving Stephen Fulton problems. There were times Fulton was hurt. There was times Fulton elected to go to the corner himself because he knew that pressure was getting to him, and he knew those body punches bothering him. But now Stephen Fulton doesn't have a lot of knockout power. That's going to be a problem going up against a guy like Naoya Inoue. He really doesn't have power. He has quick feet. He got quick hands, and his counter punching ability is right there on par. He's very good with his counter punching ability. But that Brandon Figueroa fight was very key for me because Naoya Inoue can come forward. Naoya Inoue can fight on the inside. Naoya Inoue is a vicious body puncher. We saw
Mm-hmm.
that. He's a vicious body puncher, and that can give him problems. If Stephen Fulton don't try to box Naoya Inoue, move around, give this dude some angles, don't try to stand in front of him, and definitely don't get into a trade, he makes the fight more easy. However, I don't think he's going to do that. I think Fulton is going to try to prove, just like with Brandon Figueroa, I can win this type of fight. And that's going to be a problem for him. You can't just stand in front of Naoya Inoue. Now, he can counterpunch, but the fact that his lack of power, then what I don't like is the fact that he arrived in Japan so damn late. I think he arrived like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. No, 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 no. He should have got there a lot earlier than what he should have gotten there. So, in my honest
Why?
opinion, because because you got to give yourself time to acclimate to the weather conditions. You lose a whole day when you go there, so your body's playing catch up with the clock. Then you got to get used to the food.
Yep.
Okay, all of these things you have to get used to, and that takes some time for you to get used to. You can't go there within 2 weeks and think you're going to get used to that drastic of a change
So
that fast.
so when do you think he should have got there?
I think he should have got there in June, middle of June,
Okay.
somewhere around middle of June. Yeah, middle of June, beginning
Yeah.
or middle of June, he should have got there, or he should have been in some location. He should have been training someplace that have the same type of conditions that they have in Japan. Then flew all the way in there,
Mm-hmm.
but he definitely should have been fighting someplace that would help him get acclimated to that, so that way he's not losing anything when he goes there. So, I think, but my pick for this, man, I'll be honest with you, man, it's a tough one for me, but I think Naoya Inoue wins this fight, man. I think Naoya Inoue wins this fight. I think the movement, I think the power of Stephen. I mean, I think the movement of Stephen Fulton and the hand speed would be a problem in the beginning, but I think those body shots, that jab, they're coming off the front foot, that good pressure is gonna start coming into play, and I think Naoya Inoue could pull it out in the end. I see Naoya Inoue winning a close fight because remember he is at home, and all he has to do is show that he's not. He's got to do enough to show that he's winning and not losing those rounds. and I think Naoya Inoue can pull out a 7-5, 8-4 victory.
Man, this is a good fight, man. Shout out to Stephen Fulton for taking the fucking risk to go over to Japan, even though you're the unified champion, even though this guy's coming up to your weight division, right? Shout out to him for saying, you know what, we'll agree to all the demands and we'll go to Japan. Quite honestly, I probably would have said, I need something on the motherfucking table, dog. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole situation with the hand wraps thing that his trainer was talking about. Like, all right, man, we agreed to all the demands and shit. They understand that they're not necessarily the A side, but they also are the guys with the hardware that Naoya Inoue wanted. So they did have leverage where they could have at least had the fight in America, bro. They could have at least brought the fight to America. Everything else could have been, Naoya Inoue's, demand, excuse me. But they could have at least had the fight in America. They said, fuck that. And said, we'll do everything you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Besides the hand wrap situation, but that seems to be cleared up. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, though, shout out to him. Shout out to Inoue for wanting to come up to a fourth division, bro, to become a champion, man. That's from 105 up to 122, skipping 115. That's a big jump, man.
And
A
taking
lot,
on the possibly best fighter in the division instead of fighting
possibly,
MJ. Yeah.
possibly. He is the best fighter in the division.
Well, yeah, right. I'm
MJ
saying.
losing to Marlon Tapala, as bro told you that if you had any doubts, Stephen Fulton was the best fighter in the division. You see what I'm
Agreed.
saying?
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jeff Pena. I'm just saying, they could have said that. I agree 100%. This is a massive fight in Japan. There's a lot of money to be made in Japan, especially for Naoya Inoue. I'm just saying, Stephen Fulton's team could have at least used the leverage of the hardware and the status that he has at 122 to say, hey, we want the fight in America, but we'll give you more of the purse and all this other shit. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
at the end of the day, um, um, it's a good fight, and it's a good fight that they agree. I'm glad that they agreed to the terms they agreed to. At the end of the day, man, I'm gonna start with Fulton, then I'm gonna get on to Naoya. Fulton has to keep the fight in the middle of the ring, bro. I mean, there's just absolutely no doubt about that, man. Naoya Inoue is extremely intelligent. I don't think enough people understand that. I've been talking about Naoya Inoue since 2014, man. We're talking almost 10 years, dog.
You're a fighter
Back
of the
when
year.
back when he was beating Adrian Hernandez at 108 pounds and shit. Back when he became a two-division champion in the same fucking year. Back when they gave Terrence Crawford Fighter of the Year, and I was sitting there screaming on a little ass channel saying, "Nah, man, they should give it to this cat from Japan named Naoya Inoue." You know what I'm saying? I was calling a nigga Naoya. I was saying Naoya and Nui. That's what I was saying back then. Didn't even know how to pronounce his name right. Probably not pronouncing it right now. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we're talking almost 10 years that I've been telling you guys that this guy was going to be top notch. Almost 10 years later, look where we are. The guy's extremely fucking intelligent. Naoya Inoue has power in both hands and gets you out of there with either the right or the left, man. I remember in the rematch with Nonito Donaire, he hurt Donaire with the right hook in the first round, dropped him. It was actually a sneaky, close, straight right hand more than it was a hook. And then in the goddamn second round where he knocked him out, he hurt him with the left hook. That's actually what got Nonito Donaire on Queer Street because of the left hook. He's got power in both hands. He's got speed. He's got a good jab, right?
Yes, he does.
Fulton cannot fight Inoue the way he fought Brandon Figueroa. He cannot allow Inoue to make him retreat to the ropes, bruh. If he gets on those ropes, it's killer season like Cam, nigga. You know what I'm saying? It's killer season, bruh. Just like Cameron and Dipset, bruh.
Right.
He gonna murder this dude on the ropes, man. Because one thing I'm gonna tell you when I watch Fulton Figueroa, Fulton's not a good fighter off the ropes. He's a horrible fighter off the ropes. He's sitting there trying to pot shot with no power. Get off the ropes, spin off the ropes, get back into mid-range distance and control with the jab, bro. Fulton, you need to have Vasily Lomachenko type of footwork because your power and your ability to put combinations together is not all that great. A guy with no power but can put combinations together very well, a la Tim Bradley, right? They can get away with not having all these angles that they can apply or at least exhibit for their opponent. I'm here, no, I'm not. I'm here, no, I'm not. I'm there, no, I'm not. Right? That's what
Right.
that's what the angles provides. But if you're able to have just enough pop on your shots and be extremely accurate and then have good combination punching, you don't need all that footwork like Vasily Lomachenko or Manny Pacquiao, right? Or Erislandy Lara back in the day. You don't
Yeah.
need all that footwork. But in my opinion, Fulton absolutely needs that kind of footwork, man. I'm gonna disagree a little bit with my man Bo when he said Daniel Rahman, the Daniel Rahman fight is not really important. It was important because we saw what Naoya Inoue can't do. Daniel
Okay.
Rahman stood there and waited and allowed Fulton to tee off on him, bro. Now, Rahman is a counterpuncher, but he has pressure. I mean, look at the TJ Doheny fights, right? And all the fights that he had in the past, becoming a unified champion. He was applying pressure behind his jab. That was the kind of fighter Daniel Rahman was. But he didn't do that against Fulton. It's like he respected Stephen Fulton's speed too much and didn't want to get hit by a punch he didn't see. So he waited on the guy. Not only did he wait on the guy, but he waited on him in the middle of the ring. I remember in several situations, bro, he would have Fulton retreating up against the ropes. Understand what I just said. Daniel Rahman had Fulton against the ropes at times. If Daniel Rahman can do this, that means it's a problem that Fulton has. Because Rahman wasn't even aggressive like that in the first half of their fight, right?
Actually,
Had him on the ropes at certain points and retreated. He didn't even go forward. Quite the opposite of what Brandon Figueroa would do. Quite the opposite of what I think Naoya Inoue needs to do, right? So Inoue needs to watch both of those fights. You watch Brandon Figueroa to understand that if you put Fulton on his back foot, he goes up against the ropes, and that's where you have the biggest advantage, right? Also, you watch that fight because Fulton, when he has pressure on him, he tries to apply the pressure right back. Nigga, that's an excellent 100% no. You don't apply the pressure right back to fucking Naoya Inoue. Are you crazy, nigga? So you're just going to sit there in the pocket and trade punches with a power puncher like Naoya Inoue? Now understand, Inoue was knocking cats out at 118 and started at 105. Do you really believe his power is not going to translate to 122? There's a possibility it doesn't, but I wouldn't take that bet if I'm Fulton. I'm not betting on that. I'm seeing this nigga dust niggas, Juan Carlos Payano, Emmanuel Rodriguez. He's dusting motherfuckers at 118 and started at 105. I'm not taking that chance that this guy's power is not going to translate to my division, which is only 4 pounds higher. Absolutely not. I'm going to outbox this nigga from the mid-range and outside, right?
Right.
Like he was fucking Mike Tyson coming at me, man. That's what you need to do. That's how Fulton's got to fight him, man. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I already mentioned Daniel Rahman and what Inoue can't do. He can't wait, huh? Inoue in the first couple of rounds, he's reading you, but he waits. And I think this is where Fulton can take over the fight, right? In moments where Inoue is waiting and palm with his jab, he shoots like this quick double jab. The first jab ain't really getting to you, but the second one is where he plants his feet or takes a step forward and then gets closer to you. And that last jab is the one that's going to hit you, right? First one's a decoy. Second one's the one that's going to hit you. He likes to do that to get closer to his opponent. But if I'm Fulton, I take a half step back and counter that motherfucker right over the top. You see what I'm saying? Because I know the first one's a decoy. So I'm going after the second one. I'm going after the first one over the top of the second one. Because he's going to step right into your punch. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Naoya Inoue can't wait. He's got to put pressure on this guy early. Don't let Fulton get comfortable. He's a fighter that if he gets comfortable, he's hard to beat. Ask Daniel Rahman. Ask anybody who's ever done that to him. You allow him to ask fucking Angelo Leo. That was his problem when they fought.
Yep.
You allowed him to get comfortable. When he gets comfortable, it's damn near over, right? Naoya needs to apply pressure immediately behind that jab. Press the action. Do what Daniel Rahman was supposed to do and how Daniel Rahman normally fucking fights. You do that in this fight. Press the action behind the jab. Look for openings. When you're pressing the action, Fulton likes to throw these wild ass hooks. I seen this nigga throw a right hook, twist, turned his body, Then came right back with a left hook. What the fuck? And that was on the inside.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was at mid-range distance, not the inside. That was at mid-range. And Naoya Inoue is extremely fast enough to catch him with a straight close shot like he did Nonito Donaire in the first round of that rematch. What was Donaire doing, guys? Right? He was punching at mid-range distance, and he was applying pressure to Naoya Inoue. Inoue took a half step back and caught him while he was open, trying to land that or trying to load up on that left hook, and caught him right there. He could do the same shit to Fulton because Fulton likes to do the same thing. Apply pressure so that it tricks Fulton into coming to you. Because that's exactly what he did to Brandon Figueroa. What makes you think he wouldn't do it to Naoya Inoue? Maybe because he respects the power, but he's a Philly nigga. How many times have I told you guys about Philly niggas, man? They when they get upset or frustrated, they want to fight. When they feel like they're losing, or when they feel like a game plan is not working, they want to fight. That's a Philly nigga, but that's what they do. Go back and look at J-Rock and Jamal Charlo, bro.
Oh, man.
J-Rock was beating Jamal Charlo behind the jab. I had Jamal winning the fight, but J-Rock was doing a very good job with the jab and stopped fucking fighting and decided to come on the inside where he ran into an uppercut. That's Philly, man. That's what they do. They got like that hard knocks attitude, dog. So if you're applying pressure to Stephen Fulton, I guarantee the guy gets angry, frustrated, and wants to apply pressure back. We've already seen it happen. And that right there is something Inoue wants, because Inoue is an excellent counterpuncher and he knows where to place his shots. That's where his IQ comes from, right? At the end of the day, Inoue has to keep the fight on the move, dog. Again, if he allows Fulton to get comfortable and in the center of the ring, he's going to get outboxed.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be close if he allows Fulton to gain the ring generalship in the middle of the ring. It's not going to be a close fight.
Agreed.
If Naoya Inoue applies pressure, gets Fulton on his back foot, Naoya Inoue could stop him. Because Fulton is going to try to apply the same pressure right back. Let me tell you something, man. That lunging in shit that Fulton did against Brandon Figueroa, he would lunge in with a straight right hand and hold him. That ain't going to work against Naoya Inoue. He was doing that the whole fight, guys. Lunging in with a straight right hand or lunging in with a right hook and then hold Brandon Figueroa. That's not going to work on Naoya Inoue, bro. Naoya Inoue is smart enough to either spin out or step back and throw that short counter, catching him right when he comes in, bro. Listen. Stephen Fulton has never fought a guy as a pro like Naoya Inoue. But Naoya Inoue has never fought a guy like Stephen Fulton. And this is why this fight is so fucking good, man. That's why I can't wait to see it, dog. But at the end of the day, y'all know what it is, man. Let him down, Philly! Yo, 2K, where you going tonight, dog? You going to the club? Nah, man, I can't make it to the club, dog. Why not, fam? Because I got to go to Philly. Let a couple cats down. I got Naoya Inoue, man. I got Naoya Inoue possibly knockout 11 round.
Woo!
Inoue by KO 11 rounds, man. I just think that if Stephen Fulton can break the whole Philly tradition of being that hard knock, I'm a hard nigga. Yeah, I do. You know what I'm saying? I do stupid shit because you know what I'm saying? I'm hard, nigga. If he breaks that and follows the game plan he needs to follow, bro, he can win. Like, I'm with Neutral Natural if he fucking does what he's supposed to do.
Exactly.
Right? 115, 113. That's a good scorecard for Fulton if he does what he's supposed to do.
Exactly. I agree with
But
that.
Philadelphia fighters have a fucking tradition of a hard knocks attitude, man. And that makes them make mistakes in fights they could be dominating. Fulton could have dominated Brandon Figueroa. I like Brandon Figueroa, but he's a one-dimensional fighter.
Yeah,
He's a one-dimensional fighter, guys. Why did Fulton have so much trouble with a one-dimensional fighter?
that's a good point.
Because he tried to fight him. Why are you doing that? He's clearly coming in. Fulton, I mean, I figure out the time was like 25-0, 21 knockouts or some shit like that at that time. Why are you trying to fight the guy? What are you trying to prove? If anything, Floyd Mayweather showed guys, hey man, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna win this boring ass fight. That's what you gotta do sometimes. Right?
Yeah.
Fulton's already, in my opinion, it's already a mistake because he's already talking about knocking Inoue out. What are you talking about? With what, nigga? With what? 21-0 with 8 knockouts or some shit like that? With what? What you gonna knock him out with? Unless you got like a power fist glove on or some shit. You know, this motherfucking glove been dipped in radiation, nigga. what you gonna knock him out with? That's not your game plan. That's not what you do to this guy. You don't go out there and try to knock him out. You outbox him. Because he's sitting down on his punches. You be feather-footed and dance around this nigga and keep a jab in his face. If he comes anywhere near you, you let that right hand go. The fuck? Man, I just don't think he can do it, man. Let him down Philly. That's what it's going to be, man. Knockout by Naoya round 11, man.
Man, knockout. Oh, dog. I wouldn't have thought that. That's a tough one. But I want to go to my man right here who said Hobie. If he said if Stephen can take Brandon's power and volume, then I believe he can take Nau's power. He wasn't taking it. He wasn't taking it the way you're making it sound, man. Go back and watch that fight. He wasn't taking it the way you're making it sound. There were times he was visibly hurt. There were times he was wobbled, and then he electively decided to go to the corner, right, to try to fight off the ropes because the body punching and all that was getting to him and was making his legs weak. He couldn't stand in the middle of the ring because his legs were getting weak. The only reason why a fighter elects to go to the corner and get in the corner when they're hurt is because their legs are weak. So they're using the corner to lean on until they get their strength back in their legs, man.
Yeah, they use the ropes, right?
Yeah.
They use the ropes to lean on. That's why he kept getting put on the ropes.
Yep.
Now, another thing, I understand, Inoue has not knocked anybody out at 122, but the power that he had at 118, man, I'm sorry, I don't see how that doesn't translate to 122. I think Inoue, for what it's worth, him fighting at 118 is a better puncher than Brandon Figueroa. He's a better puncher than him. My man Neutral Natural said at the top, turning over shots is Inoue's specialty. Brandon Figueroa is not really good at turnover shots. I've seen Brandon Figueroa actually slapping Fulton a few times. He's throwing a bunch of combinations, trying to gain points and shit while Fulton's up against the ropes. I saw the palm of his glove hitting Fulton several times. That's not going to happen with Inoue, dog. He's turning them motherfucking shots over. He ain't slapping nobody. You know what I'm saying? Agreed. He's a much better puncher than Brandon Figueroa is. And he's more accurate than Brandon Figueroa. So, man, dog, like I said, man, at the end of the day, oh, yes, he did. He did, Alex. He did. He said, I hear y'all, but he didn't wilt under that pressure. Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Him retreating against the ropes is him wilting under the pressure. That's what you're not understanding, Alex.
1000%.
You can't and then remember, if you go back and watch that fight, Wahid Rahim, his trainer, kept screaming at him, telling him stay off the fucking ropes. I mean, Rahim was giving him good instructions. Fulton couldn't execute them fully because he was wilting under the pressure. That's exactly what was happening. Just because a nigga ain't falling to his knees and shit and rolling out the ring doesn't mean he's not wilting to the pressure, bro. He changed. Just think of it like this. Fulton was fighting a different game plan because of the pressure. That's enough for you right there, man. So, and almost lost because of that. It was a split decision, wasn't it? In that fight?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. He won by split decision. You're absolutely right.
So at the end of the day, man, like I said, if he gets, it really depends on Fulton's brain in this fight. And Inoue to me is a much more intelligent fighter, right? He puts punches together better than Fulton. Fulton's faster, maybe slight. I don't even know if he's faster than him, dog. Because while I was watching the Figueroa fight, I didn't think Fulton was all that fast.
Yeah,
Um, I didn't think he was that fast at all, to be honest with you. I thought Fulton was actually faster than that. I gave the nigga more credit than I thought. You
yeah.
know what I'm
He looks.
saying?
If you watch the Daniel Roman fight, he looks fast. But you mentioned you said something. He looked fast because Roman was waiting on him,
Yeah.
and that's what made him look fast because he's waiting on him.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would give him a slight speed edge. Um, uh, but it's a situation where Fulton has the speed edge if Naoya Inoue is allowing him to tee off. He has the
Hmm.
speed edge. You see what I'm saying? If he's not letting Fulton just stand there in the middle of the ring like Daniel fucking Roman was, then he doesn't really have the speed edge. You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
Footwork, I give that to Fulton, but he's got to use it correctly. You see what I'm saying? Defense, I give that to Fulton. No, anyway, you're right. He does come in on the straight line, but at the same time, Fulton don't have the power to do anything about that. So
And
if Fulton had power, this would be probably a whole different breakdown of prediction. To be honest with you, if
yes, he
Fulton
would
had
be.
power,
Yes, he would be.
he doesn't have the power, man. He's not. He just doesn't turn over his punches very well. Brandon Figueroa was eating his uppercuts like it was breakfast, man. And I've never really seen Figueroa hurt. I know, well, Lewis Neri hit that motherfucker with some shots, but Fulton was just like, eh. I mean, I'm sorry, Brandon Figueroa was like, eh. And these are uppercuts on the inside, very well timed, well placed uppercut. Did nothing to the guy.
Brandon Figueroa still finished the fight. Still finished the fight with his baby face.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, I look at Inoue and I'm like, oh, let me say this. Let me say this. A lot of cats are saying that the size difference matters. And I will say this. I forgot to mention this. Um, when I did watch Fulton and Figueroa and Fulton and Roman, Fulton looked like he was 130 pounds, maybe 130 plus. If you look at the weigh-in, Fulton looked like he got the dude by like 4 inches. You know what I'm saying? Um, the reason why I don't think that matters is because Nonito Donaire is naturally a bigger guy. Nonito Donaire has been weight bullying motherfuckers his whole career. Donaire is naturally a 126 who could fight as high as 135 if he wanted to, right? But he was always down there at 118, 122. I think he even went down. Did he go ever go down to 115? Did he fight? He fought Omar Narvaez at 118 because Narvaez, I think, was running 112 and moved up to 118. Right? Because I think
Right.
Naoya Inoue knocked out Omar Narvaez at 112, and that was Narvaez's first knockout loss. And that's another thing about Naoya's power, man. Like Omar Narvaez, if y'all don't know who he was, dude was like undefeated for a long ass time, man, just ruling the roost down there at the lower weight divisions. And he took his first L because he jumped up 2 weight divisions to fight Nonito Donaire. And Nonito Donaire did not knock him out. He was clearly the much bigger guy. He was landing left hooks like a motherfucker, right? And he couldn't knock him out. Shit, barely hurt the guy.
Right.
He goes back down to his division. I think he fights a few more fights. Actually, I think he fought several more fights. Fights Inoue, gets knocked out in 2 rounds, guys. This nigga gets knocked out in 2 rounds, man. Like he never fought Nonito Donaire, and at 118. It's just crazy, man. And Inoue's powers is ridiculous, and it's not even the power; it's the punch placement. I don't even want to talk about that. It's not the power; it's the punch placement, because punch placement is more important than power. You see what I'm saying?
It is. Yes, it is.
It's the power coupled with the punch placement. It's a serious problem, dog. So, dog, I can't fucking wait though. Hey man, Alex, if you take the money, that's what's up, man. I'll give you the money that I've taken from so many other motherfuckers. I done bled so many motherfuckers, man. You can have a little piece of that, bro. No problem. But yeah, man, I just like I said, man, it Fulton's really got to get his mind right for this one, man. He really does.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, really, you can't break it down no more better than that. Everything we just said on point. If you guys go back and watch the fights and watch what we talking about and look at exactly what we're talking about, there are these little tedious things, these little these little small things right here. They can be big in a fight like this. And the biggest thing for me is I saw Naoya Inoue take blistering shots from Nonito Donaire.
Yeah, in that
Two
first
orbital
fight, yeah,
bones and still fought him.
broke. Yes, right, broke his orbital bones, and he still continued to fight and won.
Exactly.
I mean, come on, guys. Like one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about is Inouye's toughness as well. I'm not
Yes.
hearing anybody talk about his toughness. Hell, I didn't even say it this whole fucking time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
His toughness is underrated, like Floyd's chin. Nobody ever talked about Floyd Mayweather's chin. One of his best assets wasn't his defense, wasn't his jab. It was that fucking chin. He could take a shot like a motherfucker, man. Ask Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley said, "I hit him with everything I had."
Twice.
Twice. Yep. In the
Twice.
same round.
Right.
So yeah, Floyd's chin underrated. Naoya Inoue's toughness underrated, man.
Yep, and I think that's ultimately what's going to come down to. If he goes in there with that Philly mindset, he's done. You're absolutely right. If he's talking about knocking him out, he's done. You're absolutely right. He's done. So, whoo, oh man! At the end of the day, like me and my man Prodigy got Naoya Inoue, but Prodigy talking about some 11 round knockout. Listen, man, if Naoya Inoue knocks this dude out in 11th round, my man. I always thought you was great, but I will call you the greatest breakdown in the history of boxing. I had myself up there, but I'd have to put you up there if he knocks this dude out in the
It's a
11th
long
round.
shot, man, but
Yeah.
it's a long shot.
But when you look at what Brandon Figueroa was, there were moments where Brandon Figueroa had this dude in trouble.
Several moments. That's
Several
why
moments.
I don't know what Alex talking about, man.
Yes,
Several moments.
he had him in trouble. It's just like you said, Brandon was slapping. Now you know he's
Yep.
not gonna slap,
He ain't slapping shit.
right?
I don't even think Inoue slaps his bitch. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? He ain't slapping shit.
And then I'm gonna point back to him going over there at the time that he went over there. This right here him going to Japan as late as he went over there, guys. You got to understand. You're trying to maintain weight. That can make you weak. That can definitely make you weak. And I don't mean weak as in like in the mind or anything. I'm talking about your body takes time to adjust. And as your body is, did you ever travel out of country to another country? And for that first day, you're like, oh my goodness, you can't stay
Yeah.
woke, you're tired of it. Yes, that can make you weak, and that can have a serious effect on him in a grueling fight. In a grueling fight, that can come into play, man. So yeah, what you're saying is very plausible, G.
Question, man, real quick.
Go ahead.
So if Stephen Fulton wins,
Hmm.
where does that place him in the top pound for pound?
He's
Or
in a
or the
lot.
three kings top 10? Let me say that. We don't call it pound for pound.
Yeah, he's somewhere between 8 and 10. You'd have to look at him somewhere for 8 and 10 because I get it. Now we know he is high on the pound for pound list, but there's other guys out there. Like you can't sit there and tell me that he takes over like a place of an Oleksandr Usyk or a place of a Devin Haney or even a Charlo, Canelo Alvarez. Too many undisputed champions out there, man,
Right.
that has done that like what Fulton is doing this one time, what they've done on several on multiple occasions. Too many undisputed fighters out there that have done just a little bit too more. So I think you have to put him somewhere between 8 and 10.
Yeah, you took my point. I mean, that list has way too many undisputed champions. Too many guys that have done more than what Fulton has accomplished. I mean, beating Naoya Inoue is a major fucking accomplishment, right? Especially
Mhm.
doing it in Japan, similar to what Devin Haney did to George Kambosos. But the difference here between Fulton and Haney is that Kambosos is nowhere near on the level of Naoya Inoue, bro. Inoue is, in my opinion, in the opinions of ThreeKingsBoxing.com, he's the number 2 fighter in the world, man. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's gonna be tough. Let's say if Fulton does win, and we sit that motherfucker at 8, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But it'll have to be an explanation to everybody. Like, listen, look at his wins, Angelo Leo and Brandon Figueroa. You know what I'm saying? Not much done. Oh, and Daniel Ramon, excuse me. Angelo Leo, Brandon Figueroa, Daniel Ramon. Daniel Ramon coming off of a year layoff, but Daniel Ramon nonetheless. And then you got Naoya Inoue, right? There's too many guys that have done more, even with the Inoue win, than Fulton.
Agreed.
So, like, he would leapfrog somebody like, um, Archer Beterbiev.
Yeah. 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 Dimitri
Someone like
Bivol, something
that.
like that.
Yeah, maybe Bivol. Yeah, but probably Bivol. Yeah, Kenshiro Taraji. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
guys like that. But when we're talking about the current undisputed champions, nah, man. Nah, it's difficult. Maybe Jamel or I'm sorry, maybe Devin Haney because Devin Haney's undisputed run was literally just one guy. You
George
got George
Kambosos.
Kambosos. He
I
beat
can see
Jorge,
that.
Jorge Linares and fucking JoJo Diaz, right?
I can see
Uh,
that.
those wins aren't wins. Without being undisputed, he wouldn't even be on the list. You see what I'm saying?
Agreed.
So he could probably jump Devin Haney. He could probably jump Jamel Charlo. Um, Jamel Charlo's wins is really Brian Castano. Um, shit. Who else?
Rematch with James Tony, maybe. I mean, not James. Tony Harrison rematch
Tony,
with
yeah,
Tony
Tony
Harrison.
Harrison.
Uh,
John Jackson.
yeah, I'm done. Damn, you got
Charles Hatley.
that's Charles Hatley.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe Jamel,
Right.
but it stops right there. You know what I'm saying? So
Agreed.
yeah, I say possibly 6 to 10 if he beats Naoya Inoue.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see
All right, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. If you just stayed this whole time, you witnessed the best damn breakdown and prediction on the net for Stephen Fulton and Naoya Inoue's unified 122-pound title bout that's happening at 4:30 Eastern time. It's going to be 3:30 Central, and that's going to be 1:30 Pacific AM, by the way. AM, not PM. So whatever y'all got to do, like I said earlier, man, take vitamins. Don't get no sex. You'll go straight to sleep. Tell your girl or your wife, not tonight.
He got these niggas in training camp.
Not tonight. Yeah. My man Alex, he mentioned Jamel's wins, Austin Trout and Erickson Lubin. But look at when he beat those guys, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lubin, Lubin was barely a prospect at the time, and look where he is now. And then Austin Trout was on the way out. Austin Trout he's doing bare knuckles and shit right now. This nigga. Like, yeah, they're worth mentioning, but whatever. But yeah, like I said, man, tell your girl not tonight. Take some pre-workout. If you got some, that should keep your ass up. You know what I'm saying? Don't drink Red Bull. Don't drink Monster. It's not good for you. Take you a pre-workout. You know what I'm saying? Don't eat no carbohydrates. That shit'll put you right to sleep. Do what you got to do to keep your motherfucking eyes open, like it's mind controlling this bitch. Right? Y'all know what it is, man. Go to 3kingsboxing.com for your source of pure and adulterated boxing information. Hit us up on Twitter at 3kingsboxing, Instagram at 3kingsboxing, Facebook.com/3kingsboxing. Definitely tune into this channel, Prodigy of Boxing Talk, man. We're definitely gonna be doing some videos. We'll be live in Vegas, as we mentioned in the last show. We'll be live in Vegas this weekend, man, covering Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. Definitely going live probably Friday, Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Just depends on what time we wake up from what we do Saturday night. Bo might be drunker than a motherfucker. Right. Yo, exactly, bro. Give me them dice. Give me them dice, Bo. Give me the dice. We're gonna be up in that motherfucker gambling, losing all types of money, and then getting it right back on the tax write-off, nigga. But stay tuned, man, to this channel. Like I said, we're going to be going live the whole weekend, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Everybody hit the PayPal. Definitely, man, appreciate you guys. Until the next one, we out.